You know those moments when your phone is ringing nonstop with texts and calls from your friends asking you to hang out, but you have to say no because your calendar is already so full of movie nights and brunch dates and party invitations that you couldn't possibly squeeze anything else in? Yeah, me neither. You know, for a group of people that won't shut up about anime and manga, it's like pulling teeth to get us to socialize. Well, that's where I come in. Hey, my name is Tiffany, and I'd like to welcome you to the Elevated Otaku podcast, where we talk about how to improve your life, nurture your relationships, and how to become the Pirate King. But the topic that we're tackling today is all about friendship.
Aww.
It's no secret that us nerds have a tendency to be a little antisocial sometimes. And that's why in today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to make friends with the help of a few cameos from some of our favorite yanderes, danderes, and loners. Before we jump into the nitty-gritty, though, let's spin the wheel of listener-submitted questions to get us warmed up, shall we? And the question of the day comes from Molly Lolly. She asks, who is your most toxic anime crush? Ooh, now this is a juicy one. And even though I can practically feel you all campaigning for Sukuna or Dabi or, God forbid, Hisoka, that aspiring kid diddler and his bungee gum can stay 500 feet away from me. My toxic anime crush is none other than the leader of the Phantom Troop himself, Mr. Corolo Lucifer. There is just something about a man who's handsome, intelligent, ridiculously OP, and a little sadistic that just does it for me. He's just got this kind of understated tenderness about him, underneath the thievery and the murder, of course. And did I not mention that he is fine as hell and has that fly-ass jacket, which is obviously made out of husband material? Yes, Crollo and his around-the-way girl earrings can get it. But what about you? Is your toxic anime crush one of the ones I mentioned, or is it someone else? Go to the Elevated Otaku Twitter page and let me know. And while you're there, DM me with your own question of the day ideas, and make sure to follow me for more random fandom talk and EXO updates. My goal is to create a lovely nerdy community, and I need your help to do it. In fact, why don't you make that step one in your friend-finding journey? All right, that's enough of my nonsense.
Can we skip to the good part?
Whether you're introverted, shy, too busy, or just don't know where to look, meeting new people can be tough. When we were kids, we had it so easy. You could just accidentally kick a ball too hard on the playground, smack another kid in the back of the head, and boom, best friends for life. Do that as an adult, and you'll end up on World Star. So what do you do then? Well, the first thing that you should do is realize that you're not the only one who struggles with this. In fact, you're far from it. And I'm not just saying that if you happen to fall into the weeb or the nerd or the antisocial category. I promise you that everyone wrestles with the same thoughts and fears in one way or another. They think, am I interesting enough to keep them entertained? Do they actually like me? Have I worn out my welcome? I want to approach them, but I have nothing to offer. I want to ask them to hang out, but they might reject me. We tend to talk ourselves out of building relationships before we even allow ourselves to try. And not only does that keep you from reaching out to people, it also has the unfortunate effect of making people not want to reach out to you either. If you do nothing but wait in the wings, hoping to stare your way into a friendship, people are just going to think you're creepy and standoffish, which is like the exact opposite of what you want. So, once again, what do we do? Well, the most obvious solution is unfortunately the most difficult one to do, and that is to just put yourself out there. Luckily, though, we happen to have a secret weapon that makes this 1,000 times easier. And that, my nerdy friends, is our love of our fandoms. Let's use My Dress Up Darling as a case study. If you haven't seen it already, which, oh my God, what are you waiting for? It's so good. It's about an antisocial guy who makes traditional Japanese hina dolls by hand, arguably a very niche hobby. He is very much a loner and stays tucked away deep inside of his own shell until the day that one of the most popular girls in school, because of course, finds out about his hobby. He thinks she's going to make fun of him, but instead she's super impressed with how beautiful his dolls are and at how amazing he is at making their clothes. She then opens up to him about her dreams of wanting to become a cosplayer, even though she can't sew. I can't relate to that at all. As you would imagine, they end up teaming up together to bring her cosplay dreams to life, and in the process, they end up becoming really good friends. And maybe a little bit more. But hey, one step at a time. We're talking about mastering the art of friendship right now. If you want to tackle your love life, go to my dating app episode. Anyway, My Dress Up Darling is a great example of how putting yourself out there and leading with your interests can draw people in when you least expect it. And you'd be surprised who could potentially share your same interests. But if you don't want to leave it up to chance, I do have a few suggestions for you. My favorite and practically foolproof way to meet new friends is to go to conventions. I mean, think about it. You're surrounded by hundreds of people who have at least one major thing in common with you, and who probably are just as eager to meet like-minded people as you are. Conventions provide a fun atmosphere that have events specifically built into them that are made for socializing. Between panels, spontaneous dance circles in the hallway, and crowded dealer rooms, you're always just a few steps away from a potential friend. And don't even get me started on if you decide to cosplay. I promise you, by the end of the weekend, you will have talked to and taken pictures with more people than you can even count. Which removes two of the major obstacles when it comes to making friends: a lack of opportunity and a lack of exposure. Now, I understand that simply going to a convention isn't enough to land you a gaggle of new friends. Like I said, you have to put yourself out there. Go into your convention experience thinking that, knowing that there are people that also want to make friends and be friendly. Pro tip: people love talking about themselves. So this is one of the easiest ways to get conversation flowing. Compliment people on their cosplay, and if they're not being swarmed by photographers, strike up a conversation about how and why they chose that character. Talk to the artists in the dealer room about their pieces, and most importantly, join panels that encourage their participants to interact with each other, because interaction is your secret weapon here. In fact, yours truly is actually planning on hosting a panel at a convention this year. Well, technically two, if I get approved. Keep your fingers crossed for me. One will be an anime-themed dating game show, and the other is a game show to make friends. So I'd say that's a pretty good reason to subscribe and follow the podcast so you don't miss updates and information on which cons and which days I'll be hosting. Pretty much, just try to make genuine connections with people. And for the love of Thor, please ask them for their contact information if you feel like you're hitting it off. I cannot tell you how many times I or a friend of mine have walked away from an amazing interaction with a potential new friend only to realize that I have no way of contacting them again. Cue the relentless Facebook stalking. Was their name Jack or Jake? I can't remember. I will suggest, though, that if you're going to ask for contact information, it may be in your best interest to go the social media route instead of jumping straight to exchanging phone numbers. It's a little less invasive, so people are more likely to say yes. But Tiffany Senpai, that's all good during convention season. But what do I do during the other 45 weeks of the year? Great question, to which my answer is to make like every 12-episode slice of life anime protagonist and join a club. If you're still in school, this one's pretty cut and dry. Just look through the list of available clubs or extracurricular events and join the one that looks most interesting to you. There's a reason why this trope is so popular in anime and fiction. Being surrounded by a group of like-minded people for extended or recurring periods of time is a great way to bond and get closer. Admittedly, if you're not still in school, this one can be a little bit tricky though. But I wouldn't be a good senpai if I didn't have a solution ready for you. Have you ever heard of an app called Meetup? If you haven't, I'll give you a quick rundown. Meetup is an app where you sign up and select a list of interests. They can be anything from hiking, chess, photography, dance, entrepreneurship, Dungeons and Dragons, and yes, even anime and comic books. Once you've gone through and selected all of your interests, the app will show you all of the events going on in and around your city that have to do with those interests. It's a great way to meet new people and to explore your city. I actually met one of my best friends at a comic book swap meetup when I first moved to Dallas like 7 years ago. And we have been buddies ever since.
Aww.
All right, let's move on to the next tip. The first two are good if you're starting from scratch, but this one is great if you already have a friend or two that you're comfortable with, and that's to use them. Okay, that sounds a little more sinister than I meant for it to, but just hear me out. What I mean is if you have more outgoing friends, let them introduce you to new people. That's what Comey did. Even though she was one of the most popular and intriguing girls in school, in the show Comey Can't Communicate, our adorable main character has social anxiety to the point to where she can't even speak around other people. Luckily for her, it makes everyone around her even that much more enamored with her and her mysterious aura. Unluckily for her, it's a bit of a double-edged sword when you don't actually have the skills to engage with the people who are so enamored with you. And that's why she enlisted the help of Tadano and the outgoing and bubbly Najimi to help her make friends. Where she falls flat, they pick up the slack, introducing her to new people, filling in awkward silences with jokes, and making sure that people are able to see just how great Comey is when she's too shy to show them herself. Speaking of friends you already have, you can also try reaching out to old friends. Most of us have those friends that we lost touch with, maybe because we grew up, moved away, or got too busy with life. Hit them up. If you can, that is. I know that I have a couple of friendships that have a smoking pile of ash standing between us. So, yeah, go ahead and let those go. But for the bridges that you haven't set ablaze, try shooting them a text or a DM. Sometimes all it takes is a little spark to reignite a flame. Jeez, that's a lot of fire metaphors in a short amount of time. I promise I don't just light things on fire, guys. Trust me. I did have an apartment fire last year, though. Okay, unrelated. Anyway, sometimes when we drift apart from our friends, it is for good reason. If you're doing it right, you should be growing and changing as you move through life. And sometimes those changes do take you in separate directions. But hey, there's only one way to find out. If you haven't noticed, a reoccurring theme in these tips so far has involved getting out of your comfort zone, throwing yourself into the world, and making connections in person. But what if the idea of face-to-face interaction leaves your inner introvert hiding under the covers? Well, boy, have I got good news for you. What if I told you that even as you sit there with your anime in the streets, hentai in the sheets shirt covered in Cheeto dust, playing Final Fantasy on your PC while you rewatch Brotherhood for the 5th time in the background, that you're already halfway there when it comes to meeting your new future bestie? That's right. You're just a Reddit thread, Discord server, or video game lobby away from your new online BFF. Full disclosure, I myself am not a huge gamer. In fact, I'm trash. Like, to the point to where my friends hand me the controller for comic relief when they get bored of playing video games and need a good laugh. But I do know people who have built some really strong friendships with people all over the world that they've never even seen before, all from video games and chat rooms. Have you guys ever seen Recovery of an MMO Junkie? It's pretty much exactly this. A woman who's a bit of a shut-in quits her job and decides to pass the time by playing a popular MMO game. In the process, she ends up meeting some really great people. And, of course, there's a little bit of a plot twist that I won't spoil for you. She falls in love with one of them. Come on, you saw that coming. It's a really good show. And it almost made me want to jump into an MMO or an RPG game myself. But once again, I am trash. But if you're not, you should try it out. Who knows? Your kindred spirit may be just a continent or two away. Of course, there are countless other ways to make new friends, like asking to hang out with your favorite coworkers outside of office hours, or striking up conversations with strangers when you're out at a fun event, or trying the BFF setting on Bumble. Yes, that is actually a thing. But the ones that I suggested just happen to be my favorite because they're fairly low risk and they give you a better chance of meeting someone that you actually have something in common with. But if I had to boil everything down into just one single tip, it would be to just try. The chances of your best friend teleporting onto your couch while you're watching TV is pretty much zero. The only way to meet new people is to meet new people. I believe in you. And if you need a starter friend to boost your confidence, allow me to volunteer. I am just a Twitter DM away. Now go out there and socialize.